Maheo'o Reiki by Cheryl Rain Carter. Human anatomy. Brain.
The human brain is the command center for the human nervous system. It receives signals from the body's sensory organs and outputs information to the muscles. It weighs about 3.3 pounds or 1.5 kilograms. The average male has a brain volume of 1,274 cubic centimeters. The average female brain has a volume of about 1,131 cubic centimeters. The brain makes up about 2% of the human's body weight. The cerebellum makes up 85% of the brain's weight. It contains about 86 billion nerve cells called neurons, which is the gray matter. It contains billions of nerve fibers, which is the white matter. These neurons are connected by trillions of connections or synapses. The largest part of the human brain is the cerebellum, which is divided into two hemispheres. Underneath lies the brainstem, and behind that sits the cerebellum. The outermost layer of the cerebellum is the cerebral cortex, which contains 4 lobes: the frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital.
Like all vertebrate brains, the human brain develops from 3 sections known as the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Each of these contain fluid-filled cavities called ventricles. The forebrain develops into the cerebellum and underlying structures. The midbrain becomes part of the brainstem, and the hindbrain gives rise to regions of the brainstem and the cerebellum. The human brain has the same basic structure as other mammal brains, but it is larger in relation to the body size than any other brain. Ancient medical practitioners had conflicting views of the significance of the brain. In the 4th century BC, Aristotle considered the brain to be a secondary organ that served as a cooling agent for the heart and a place in which spirit circulated freely. He designated the space in which all spirits come together as the sensus communis, meaning the origins of our much more metaphorical term, common sense. As we can see, he meant this quite literally. By the 1st century AD, Alexandrian anatomists such as Rufus of Ephesus had provided a general physical description of the brain. Basic structures such as the pia mater and the dura mater, which are the soft and hard layers encasing the brain, were identified in addition to the basic divisions of the brain itself. Building upon this research in the next century, the Roman physician Galen concluded that mental activity occurred in the brain rather than in the heart, as Aristotle had suggested. His observations of the effects of brain injuries on mental activity formed an important practical basis for his conclusions. Galen concluded that the brain was the seat of the animal soul, one of the 3 souls found in the body, each associated with a principal organ. The brain was a cold, moist organ formed of sperm. In the Middle Ages, the anatomy of the brain had consolidated around 3 principal divisions, or cells, which were eventually called ventricles. Each cell localized at the site of different mental activity. Traditionally, imagination was located in the anterior ventricle memory in the posterior ventricle, and reason located in between. Renaissance physicians began to dissect the brain with greater frequency at the end of the 15th century. 16th and early 17th century anatomists contributed a great deal to the physical description of the brain. Terms such as cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla were commonly used, but made few significant advances in their understanding of its function. Not until the 1660s did the anatomy of the brain change significantly. Within a few years of each other, the English physician Thomas Willis published his Anatomy of the Brain in 1664, and the Danish anatomist Nicholas Steno published his lecture on the anatomy of the brain in 1669. The brain had a new physiology and beginnings of a neurology, but the soul no longer had an identifiable home. Leonardo da Vinci drew and dissected the brain. He began to examine the relationship between the brain and the olfactory and the optical nerves through experimenting with wax injections that helped him to model the ventricles. But most importantly, he hoped to locate the seat of the soul, as did most investigations. In ancient Egypt, from the late Middle Kingdom onward, in preparation for mummification, the brain was regularly removed, for it was the heart that was assumed to be the seat of intelligence. Brain functions. The cerebral cortex is greatly enlarged in human brains and is considered the seat of complex thought. Visual processing takes place in the occipital lobe near the back of the skull. The temporal lobe processes sound and language and includes the hippocampus and the amygdala, which plays a role in memory and emotion, respectively. The parietal lobe integrates input from different senses and is important for spatial orientation and navigation. The brainstem connects to the spinal cord and consists of the medulla oblongata, pons, and the midbrain. The primary function of the brainstem includes relaying information between the brain and the body, supplying some of the cranial nerves to the face and head, and performing critical functions in controlling the heart, breathing, and consciousness. Between the cerebrum and the brainstem lie the thalamus and the hypothalamus. The thalamus relays sensory and motor signals to the cortex and is involved in regulating consciousness, sleep, and alertness. The hypothalamus connects the nervous system to the endocrine system, where hormones are produced via the pituitary gland. The cerebellum lies beneath the cerebrum and has important functions in motor control. It plays a role in coordination. Common categories of brain diseases. These are some common brain diseases and neurological disorders that would affect the brain. Autoimmune diseases, autism and neural development diseases, dementia, infections, movement disorders, neuromuscular disease, seizure disorder, stroke and vascular disease, trauma, and tumors. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, which is an ancient Egyptian medical text that was named after the dealer who bought it in 1862, It is the oldest known surgical treatise on trauma, which was written in 1501 BC. The symptoms of brain diseases. Of course, symptoms will vary widely depending on the specific condition, but the following are some common physical and/or cognitive symptoms of brain disease. Physical symptoms include changes in hearing, speech, or vision, paralysis, either partial or complete, seizures, poor balance or dizziness, headache, nausea and vomiting, shakes or tremors, weakness in the arms or legs, loss of sense of smell or taste, excessive fatigue, problems reading or writing when a person was able to do so previously, pain that can't be explained, difficulty breathing, difficulty walking, problems swallowing, speech changes. Cognitive symptoms may include memory loss, confusion, difficulty concentrating, personality changes, mood shifts, depression or anxiety, poor impulse control, or problems regulating emotions. Symptoms of a brain tumor can be general or specific. A general symptom is caused by the pressure of the tumor on the brain or the spinal cord. Specific symptoms are caused when a specific part of the brain is not working well because of the tumor. For many people with a brain tumor, they were diagnosed when they went to the doctor after experiencing a problem such as a headache or other changes. Symptoms that may be specific to the location of the tumor include pressure or headache near the tumor, loss of balance and difficulty with fine motor skills is linked with a tumor in the cerebellum. Changes in judgment, including loss of initiative, sluggishness, and muscle weakness or paralysis, is associated with a tumor in the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. Partial or complete loss of vision is caused by a tumor in the occipital lobe or temporal lobe of the cerebrum. Difficulty swallowing, facial weakness, or numbness or double vision is a symptom of a tumor in the brainstem. General symptoms of brain disease include headaches, which may be severe and worsen with activity or worse in the early morning. Seizures. The different types of seizures and what they look like are listed below. Loss of body function, such as loss of bladder and control, single or multiple muscle twitches, jerks, spasms, loss of consciousness and body tone, followed by twitching and relaxing muscles that are called contractions. Myoclonic, tonic-clonic, which is grand mal, or complex partial. Maybe a short 30-second period of no breathing, and a person's skin may turn a shade of blue, gray, purple, white, or green. After this type of seizure, a person may be sleepy and experience a headache, confusion, weakness, numbness, and sore muscles. Change in sensation, vision, smell, and/or hearing may cause a loss of awareness. Personality or memory changes, nausea or vomiting, fatigue, drowsiness, sleep problems, memory problems, changes in ability to walk or perform daily activities. Natural remedies. A number of herbs and spices may help improve your brain health, and some of them may be already sitting in your fridge or pantry right now. Several of these herbs and spices have been studied for their effects on Alzheimer's disease, while others have been tested for their overall effects on cognition. Sage, which is a spice known for its scent, sage might also improve cognition and aid in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. In fact, a research review published in 2017 suggests sage contains compounds that may be beneficial for cognition and neurological function. Turmeric. Turmeric is a spice long used in Avodia. It contains a compound called curcumin, which has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects, two factors that may benefit brain health and overall health. According to a review published in 2010, preliminary research suggests that turmeric may boost brain health and stave off Alzheimer's disease, clearing the brain of beta-amyloid, a protein fragment. The buildup of beta-amyloid is known to form Alzheimer's-related brain plaques. In addition, turmeric may shield brain health by inhibiting the breakdown of nerve cells in the brain. Ginkgo biloba. Long used as a treatment for dementia. Ginkgo biloba is a commonly taken remedy in traditional Chinese medicine and is well known for its benefits. It's thought that ginkgo biloba might help improve cognitive function, in part by stimulating circulation and promoting blood flow to the brain.
Furthermore, a research review published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease in 2015 suggests that a ginkgo biloba extract called CG6761 may be especially helpful in slowing decline in cognition among patients experiencing neuropsychiatric symptoms in addition to cognitive impairments and dementia. Ashwagandha. Another Ayurvedic herb, ashwagandha, has been found to inhibit the formation of beta-amyloid plaques in preliminary research, according to a review published in 2010. What's more, the review says preliminary studies have indicated that ashwagandha may benefit the brain by reducing oxidative stress, a factor that may contribute to the development and progression of Alzheimer's disease. Ginseng. One of the most popular plants in herbal medicine, ginseng contains anti-inflammatory chemicals called ginsenosides. According to a review published in 2018, scientists have observed that ginsenosides may help reduce brain levels of beta-amyloid in preliminary lab studies. Gotu-kola. In alternative medicine systems such as Avodia and TCM, gotu-kola has long been used to improve mental clarity. Findings from animal-based research suggest that this herb may also help the brain by fighting oxidative stress. Lemon balm. Lemon balm is an herb often taken in tea form and frequently used to ease anxiety and insomnia. Lemon balm may help improve cognitive function. Herbal apothecary recipes. This is serious medicine here. Use with caution. Serious headache helper. This recipe calls for 8 drops of peppermint essential oil, 8 drops of birch essential oil, 1 tablespoon lavender essential oil, 1 tablespoon jojoba base oil. You're going to store this at room temperature away from heat and light and use within 2 years. Application: 2 or 3 times per day. Add the peppermint and birch essential oils drop by drop directly into a storage bottle. Add the lavender essential oil and jojoba base oil. Screw the top on the bottle and shake vigorously for 2 minutes to blend. Label the bottle and place in a dark location that's between 60 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit for 24 hours so the oils can synergize. For an antidepressive blend, put a handful of fresh chopped rosemary into a bottle of white wine. Let sit for 4 days. Strain and use by the tablespoon as needed. Get migraine relief with lemon coffee. At the first sign of a headache, make a strong cup of coffee. Add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. The caffeine
in the coffee seems to help with some migraine sufferers. Antidepressive and headache reliever. Pour 2 cups of boiling water over 3 teaspoons of dried primrose flowers and leaves. Let stand covered about 15 minutes. Strain and sweeten. Drink warm or hot. Reheat as needed. For headaches caused by mental fatigue, mix ½ teaspoon each of sage, peppermint, rosemary, and hops. Pour 2 cups of boiling water over the herb mixture and let that steep for 10 minutes. Add a pinch of ginger and sweeten. Drink warm before going to bed. For nervous headaches. A very good recipe for nervous headaches is mix 1 cup each of dried skullcap, sage, and peppermint. To use, pour 1 cup boiling water over 1 teaspoon of the herb mixture. Cover and let steep 10 minutes. Strain and sweeten. Drink warm as needed. Skullcap is especially effective in dispelling headaches. It relaxes the whole system and is non-addictive. Skullcap can also be used during drug or alcohol withdrawal to lessen symptoms of withdrawal. I hope you found this video helpful. Please follow me on social media to learn more. Have a great day.